Hello, I'm Howard Schmidt, Special Assistant to the President and Cybersecurity Coordinator. Stop, think, connect. In today's digital age, keeping the internet safe is a responsibility we all share. Stop, think, connect. We need to take time to stop and think before we connect to services over the internet. Stop, think, connect is a national effort to encourage the public to take charge of our safety and security online. Remember, when we stop, think, connect, we make the internet safer for ourselves, our communities, and our nation.
I'm going to try to be calm, but I'm going to be honest with folks. The police state being set up in this country and across much of the rest of the world is so over the top, so absurd, so ridiculous that I tend to agree with Ron Paul when he said on my show a few months ago that if the American people put up with the TSA putting their hands down our pants and frying us in body scanners, we're getting what we deserve. But then another understanding grips my psyche. And that's the fact that we've been born into this police state. We've been slowly marinated and basted and incrementally conditioned to accept all of this. And I have 3 children. Many of you out there have children. We're talking about our culture, our society, our species. We can't just give in to this. For those of us that are informed and aware, we have to lovingly go out with the facts and inform our fellow Americans and our fellow humans on the face of this planet. Even though it's ridiculous to us how obvious it is, how stupefying it is that first they announced 800 plus Walmarts to get telescreens telling you to spy on other shoppers and your neighbors. Now it's 9,000 stores, malls, grocery stores, TV announcements. It's getting so hard to deal with. But the system is trying to break our will. They're trying to overwhelm us. They're trying to condition those who aren't awake to accept this high level of tyranny. But they're also trying to shock those of us that are awake into basically just going into a learned helplessness type of political catatonic state. The good news is the system is very, very afraid right now. They know there's been a huge awakening. They know people are being broken out of their trance. So they're trying to come in and basically sell the idea that any political awakening or anger is somehow going to contribute to a climate of violence. There's no discussion about why are people upset about their standard of living being lowered or their freedoms being eradicated or all these illegal, evil wars being carried out in their name. There's no discussion about the main progenitor or driver of all of this. It's all about our response to it and how we're collectively guilty for any things that happen out there, like the shooting in Tucson, Arizona, when we all know out of 300 million Americans, there are going to be dangerous schizophrenics that do horrible things. And that's all the more reason that we have a Second Amendment to protect and defend ourselves, because the state, A, can't, B, won't, and historically will tell you has no responsibility to protect you. So when they then try to disarm you, they're saying you don't have a right to protect yourself. The only right you have is to get in a fetal position and let the state and its diminutive cousin, the street criminal, have their way with you and their family. And I, for one, am not going down that road of total domestication and enslavement. I haven't been completely castrated and domesticated and turned into basically 21st century cattle for the social engineers to feed off of. But now that I've dispensed with the pleasantries, I'd like to get into why I'm here today talking to you. And I think it's the gravity of the information I'm about to cover that's caused me to be somewhat more calm. Because it is shocking. They've rolled out thousands of telescreens in hundreds of locations. They plan on having tens upon tens of thousands of telescreens at over 9,000 locations that we just discussed. And they are now not just streaming Janet Napolitano at these Walmarts saying, if you see something, say something. They're now moving on to other announcements that we all knew were coming.
Stop, think, connect.
Ultimately ending in the youth corps that they're admittedly training to take on, quote, disgruntled veterans standing around in their military uniforms recruiting the youth. This is all about the federal government not just violating the 10th Amendment, but forcing its way into your market, into your shops, forcing their propaganda there at the checkout line where they know you must hear what they have to say. I mean, this is beyond 1984. And the newest download of propaganda is the Stop, Think, Act DHS announcement. And it's a longer, more cryptic announcement by Howard A. Schmidt, Special Assistant to the President and Cybersecurity Coordinator. Because after all, it's Cybersecurity Month in America. And in the cybersecurity legislation, they've announced that if you want to graduate from high school in the future, you will serve your mandatory national service in the Cybersecurity Bureau. And they want all the young hackers and tech kids to join the giant cybersecurity facilities they've built and are building all over the nation with the admitted goal of hacking and taking down alternative media websites and spying on citizens. And they just announced to the Walmart shoppers and mall shoppers that the internet's a dangerous place, and if you see something, say something, and that you better watch what websites you're visiting, and that the federal government just wants you to know they're there to keep you safe. So this is the first salvo in the takeover of the internet as we know it, and the conversion over to Internet 2, where it's going to be run by a handful of mega corporations and establishment media. You see, the mainline media, the government, and others need each other. No one wants to watch MSNBC or CNN. They have tiny audiences of only a few 100,000 viewers on their average show, smaller than even local radio stations. No one wants to listen to the propaganda of the government. And so they're going to take over the internet and start taxing it and tracking it and regulating it and making you have an internet ID that tracks where you go, totally surveilling you. And they're going to put telescreens up on street corners and in the malls and everywhere else, as they're now doing, to make you listen to their messages. And they're going to start shutting down the alternative media and even different areas of talk radio that they don't agree with. I mean, this is clear, brazen tyranny. They've put the control grid in place, and now they're just moving on to now trying to crack down on the First and Second Amendment. And they're attacking private property rights. They're raising, in states like Illinois, the income tax by 66%. Property taxes are going up. That's a rent you pay monthly on the property you supposedly own. We do not own our property. We pay feudal rent on it. So they're in overdrive. And the dinosaur corporate media, it wants the alternative media shut down, and the government wants it shut down. And so they're now teaching us that it's basically terrorism to criticize the government, and it's basically terrorism to have an alternative news site on the internet. So we're now shifting from police state light to police state heavy, police state deep and oppressive. The velvet glove is being pulled off of the iron fist. And these reports just pour in constantly. And it's all about the citizens not trusting each other, seeing dangerous people behind every hedge, under every desk, under every bed, in every closet, but then trusting the omnipotent government that's up there like Jesus on the mountaintop or Zeus up on Mount Olympus, giving us our orders, giving us our directives, making the grass grow, making the sun shine. We are now living in the first days of a true 1984 state, and it is just an unspeakable nightmare that's unfolding. The open announcements of increased taxes, of cuts of Social Security, of looting the private pension funds are now being announced. And when you study the financial information, you know that almost all the money's going offshore to trillionaire consortiums and billionaire bankers, and their propaganda arms are telling you this is all being done because we're in debt, when the truth is we're not in debt per capita in government compared to the debts, the 1.5 quadrillion created by the derivative system. And it is that debt black hole created by the central banks that is meant to destroy all the wealth on the planet and pull it into that black hole so the central banks can build on its ashes, order out of chaos, the new global Bancor currency known as the SDR. There are thousands of points. Once you've studied this, once you've read the psychological warfare manuals, once you've looked at what the globalists have done in the past, it's completely clear. And then once you see everything that's choreographed by them, it's crystal. And that's what the awakening is about, is becoming aware. 10 years ago, they had a mass shooting and they put out 14,000 T-shirts about, United We Thrive, about this corporate collectivist board. People would have bought into that. Now it kind of backlashed and folks were like, whoa, that was all staged. Whoa, that was all choreographed with Obama at the memorial service. But what people don't catch is that Biden now is never really seen anymore. He's always told to basically stay at the White House, but up there on the stage, like the vice president, is Janet Napolitano. And you see that image everywhere where that cabinet position, of the security governor of the United States over the 10 FEMA regions, that she's really our vice president or maybe even our president. It's all about these unelected bureaucrats, having this incredible power. It's all about creating a fetish and an obsession, over the security apparatus. Well, who runs every third world country? Who runs Russia? Who ran Nazi Germany? Anybody who knows the difference between a free society and open society knows that societies that are in the grip of despotism are run by the security state. And don't you know that the security services always have an excuse of all they're taking your rights? This has been done over and over again. It's happening here. So our society, as we know it, is being destroyed. And Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, the UN, the Club of Rome, the CFR have all told us that the new world they're building is a post-industrial world where we're all going to be very, very poor. And we're being made poor so that the CPS can come and take whatever children that you are able to have. And we're going to have a one-child policy, and you'll be forced to be given inoculations that will further brain damage you. You'll be forced to drink fluoride that will further brain damage you. And this is the orderly mopping up and extermination of our population that is now beginning, and it's all a scientific dictatorship plan. And just on the same day, I mean, this stuff comes in every day is why I'm so freaked out. The other big news is they have a Red Dirt Ready. This is the Homeland Security version in Oklahoma, and continuing the Stasi rollout. And it says, go ahead and call Homeland Security. And this is being taught to high schoolers on anybody using binoculars, anyone note-taking. And that's why we can be out somewhere videotaping a cornfield for footage and people run up freaking out. I mean, they've actually found the mythical unicorn. They actually found a terrorist that wasn't run out of the Pentagon. But more importantly, it says that if you're at a hotel and you order room service and then you don't let the room service people in, that go ahead and call Homeland Security. Of course, I was in a hotel a month ago, and my wife and children were in their pajamas in the beds, and we ordered some food, and my wife didn't want to have them see her. She wanted some privacy. See, it's that message. We're going to put our hands down your pants. You don't get privacy on your cell phone. You don't get privacy in a hotel room. And it says that they do not let hotel room service in, that you want to, in your shorts and T-shirts say, oh, I'll sign that and take that in. Thank you. Here's your tip. No, that's a sign of Al-Qaeda. But I haven't got there yet. It says that if someone's buying weapons and ammunition, if they're purchasing it, that's a sign of terrorism. And then it goes on to talk to Army recruiters. They say, don't assume that people that are coming to join your business or the military aren't terrorists. Quote, don't assume it couldn't be an inside job. And then continuing here, and this is the most important, it says that in your local community, at a barbecue or elsewhere, if you hear speech that is controversial, issues being debated, that you need to go ahead and call Homeland Security immediately on those people. It says how to identify suspicious activity, and it's an all-seeing eye. And it says that if they hear controversial issues being debated, go ahead and call the Stasi on them immediately. So we are having the Stasi Society introduced to us. And there will be more mass shootings that are staged. There will be more bombings that are staged. There will be more false flag, and it will all be blamed on free speech and the Second Amendment. And we're seeing the complete transition now from, oh, we're spying on you and violating your rights to protect you from the dangerous foreigners who look different and wear turbans. They're now completely converting over to what's already been internally been the training for more than a decade, pre 9/11, that the entire apparatus of Homeland Security is aimed at gun owners, farmers, ranchers, anyone that's self-sufficient, anyone that is not a domesticated, castrated, chemically lobotomized slave. You see these drug ads on TV of the wanting, groveling person who's totally insecure, but they get their wonder drug and now they're totally happy. That's who the globalists want. Someone comfortable, dumbed down, who's ready to be slowly euthanized via the death panels that Bill Gates is now announcing. That's who they like. But if you're red-blooded and you love freedom and you're not ready to be run over or told to line up by the nice men in black uniforms, you are the enemy of the New World Order. And so war has been declared on common sense. War has been declared on the individual. War has been declared on the family. And we're all having chemical and biological weapons added to our food and water. We're all being weakened. We're all being brain damaged. And they've recently had to admit that, oh, there's too much fluoride. It is causing problems. That's the system starting to capitulate on many levels. But that's what makes them so dangerous is they realize that we are more and more seeing who they are, understanding who they are. And so we're at a critical crossroads right now where they're attempting to normalize the Stasi 1984 society, and we've got to come out and say, no, we see what you are. We know what you're doing. You're not going to complete this conversion from a free society to a high-tech nightmare system that would make the Stalinist social engineers marvel. All right, I'm done talking about it. This has been a long video posted on the InfoWarrior channel. I hope you'll spread this information out to everybody you know because, I mean, come on, folks. 9,000 locations getting telescreens, kids being trained to spy on their parents, controversial issues being debated. And under political correctness, you know, they say, don't say you don't want government health care because that means you don't like black people. You know, it's controversial. I mean, pretty soon if you say you like ice cubes in your ice water, that's controversial. You're being trained to just talk about sports and talk about the weather and keep your mouth shut and let Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan destroy our economy and our society because they want to bankrupt you so that you are under their control. Have you figured that out yet? You've been warned. The choice is up to you. The ball's in your court. And so many yuppies and well-to-do people and middle-class folks think you're part of the establishment. You're not part of the establishment. You think you're going to sit on the bench and be a corporate, you know, ladder climber. It's those attitudes that brought Hitler. It's those attitudes that brought Stalin and Mao and the rest of it. By your acquiescence, by your pathetic subservience and complying with all this, you are conjuring absolute tyranny and destruction. Okay? So, and I know deep down in your gut, you know this is the truth. And intellectually, you know it's the truth. Get off the bench, stand up for liberty, or down the road realize that you're to blame for this. Look in the mirror. The globalists are cold-blooded people who decided to not care about their fellow man and to create a destructive system because they like the power, and quite frankly, they enjoy the bloodthirst, they enjoy the sadism, they enjoy the power. They're into it. But those of you that through cowardice go along with all this, you people need to study history. You need to get your instincts straight. You need to get your head screwed on straight and understand that if you're not having chills right now, there's something fundamentally wrong with you. And I know it. You've been drinking fluoride. You've been eating all the GMOs. I understand. But even through your chemical haze, we all have to deal with it every day. You should be able to realize what's happening and have enough respect for yourself to stand up and speak out. None of us are going to fix the whole world by ourselves. None of us are going to change all of this overnight. But it's the act of recognizing good from evil and saying no to the corruption that is going to fix our world. Get up off your asses now. Stop sucking your thumbs. Our children and our society and our species are worth it. I'm Alex Jones. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.